Officer John Balcerzak, B-A-L-C-E-R-Z-A-K. As we approached both individuals, we separated both individuals, as is a standard procedure, to determine what is happening, what is occurring in the alley.
You separate them both and then separately question them, is that correct?
That's correct.
Right. Did you undertake to question one of the two men?
Yes.
And which of the two men did you, the clothed or the unclothed man, did you undertake to question?
During our investigation, I questioned the clothed male.
And who was that man? What did you first ask? What did you ask him?
I believe I started out by asking him what's occurring.
What did he say?
At that point, he related that he was helping his roommate.
And what further was said or asked or said by you or him?
During the course of our investigation in the street, we obtained some information regarding identities of the two. And
did you ask him what his name was?
Yes.
The man to whom you were talking, what name did he give you?
He gave me Jeffrey Dahmer.
And did you ask his date of birth?
Yes.
Is that standard questioning procedure when you're investigating an incident?
Yes.
Get the name and address?
Yes, it is.
And did he produce any type of identification at your request, or did he voluntarily produce identification?
During the course of my investigation, he produced a picture work identification card.
Do you remember when that was? Was that in the alley, or was that at some later point?
No, that was while we were still investigating in the alley.
And do you recall what that identification card was? Did it indicate his employment at a local West Side chocolate factory?
Yes, it was an employee picture ID card.
And from looking at that card, the name, was there a date of birth, if you recollect, on that card?
There may have been a date of birth on the card.
After looking at that card, examining the picture, looking at his face, getting his name and date of birth, were you satisfied that the man was using the right name and speaking his name and speaking with you?
Yes.
And that name was what?
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Right. Do you see that man in court right now?
Yes, I do.
And would you stipulate? Let the record reflect that there's stipulation that's the defendant. What, if anything, did he say about the incident when you queried him? Well, what's happening here?
He related to myself that he was assisting his roommate for the past few weeks back to their apartment. He stated that his roommate had been drinking and had passed out on the couch of the apartment, and that that's where he had left him when he had gone to a local tavern to obtain some beer or cigarettes.
So Dahmer told you that this was his roommate, this naked man, that he had left his roommate earlier. The roommate had passed out in their apartment, and he, Dahmer, had left the apartment with the man passed out and had gone to a tavern.
That's correct.
What else did he tell you then?
He stated that upon returning from the tavern, he observed his roommate on the street naked and was trying to assist him back to the apartment.
And what, if anything, did you then do or say or observe at that point after he had told you this?
In regards to?
Any observations you made of him, anything you said or did at that point? He had now basically relayed to you what had brought him there and the circumstances of the incident. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What, if anything, did you do at that point or say or observe?
I was making observations of my entire time since my arrival at the assignment. And
what observations had you made of Mr. Dahmer?
He appeared to be a calm, neatly dressed, clean-shaven, neatly combed hair, clean clothing, no injuries of any sort, clothing, no disarray of his clothing at all.
You were checking that to see if, in fact, there had been an altercation of some type? Is that what you were basically making those close observations for? Yes,
that would be. The assignment we had gotten sent to was a man beaten, and that you run through numerous items that you, through your mind, that you make observations and check during the course of your investigation.
Right, because the dispatch had said man beaten, you wanted to know if he had been in a fight with this man, the naked man. Is that basically what you were interested in?
Correct, to see if that, in fact, an altercation did occur.
How did he answer to you? Was he hesitant or responsive? In what fashion did he respond to your questions?
He responded, no hesitation in any type of response to any of my questions. I responded in a calm, clear voice. I myself am a stutterer of sorts, and I make observations of that if there is discrepancies and so forth of individuals. There was nothing to suggest that he was not as he was presenting himself to be.
What information, if any, did he give you about the naked man, other than saying he was a roommate?
Stated that the naked male was his roommate the past 3 weeks, and he provided a name and an age.
What name did he provide?
I believe the name he provided was John Hmong.
H-M-O-N-G, it sounds like.
I believe.
And what if any date of age did he give you for that young man's birth?
He provided the age of 19 to 20.
Had you made any observations as to the descent of the young man, the naked man in the alley?
Yes.
And what observations had you made?
He appeared to be an Asian male of approximately that age.
Right. Did the name John Hmong, H-M-O-N-G, appear to you or occur to you to be a name that might be of Oriental nature?
Yes, didn't strike me as being unusual of any sort at all.
What happened then, or what was said then, or what did you do then?
We continued to investigate in the alley. I ran through the explanation a number of times with Mr. Dahmer.
Why do you do that? Why do policemen make you repeat sometimes or jump around with questions and come back? Why do you do that?
See if there's a discrepancy, any variance in what was told to us that would, during the course of our investigation, that would help us possibly to alert us to somebody not telling us the truth.
And if a person changes their responses, that may alert you that something's going on here and you're going to press further on it. Would that be accurate?
Yes, if he changes responses or any change in his mannerisms or so forth.
For how long did you talk with him at that time before you had any communication with your partner, Mr. Gabrish?
Maybe approximately 5-10 minutes. I wasn't watching my wristwatch to see.
Did there come a time then that you conferred with Gabrish to see what he was learning from the Oriental man?
Yes.
And what, if anything, was communicated between you and Gabrish?
We exchanged information, as is normal, see if there's any discrepancies between the two individuals, which we separated.
In this case, you want to know if Gabrish is going to say that the Oriental has told him that this man was striking him or beating him or doing something like that. Is that basically why you're asking Gabrish, what does he say about it?
Well, explanation as to the circumstances of our assignment, and as far as if there's any variance in anything else, identification of individuals or anything like that.
All right, and what did Gabrish tell you?
At the time, he advised me that the Asian male was refusing to make any statements at all to him.
Had you made, up to this point, did you make any particular observations yourself of the Asian male?
Yes.
And would you tell the jury what observations you made of the Asian male?
Again, he appeared to be an Asian male of the age group given by Mr. Dahmer. He appeared to be intoxicated. He had no clothing on. He had a minor abrasion to his knee. Other than that, He was appeared to be alert, conscious of our presence and the presence of my partner.
Did you hear him speaking at all, his voice at all? That is the Oriental male.
No, I did not.
What happened then, or was said or was done between and or by you and Mr. Gabrish?
At that time, after conferring with my partner, I, as is normal for any officers, would then attempt to...
I'm sorry, would you repeat that, Mr.?
I'm sorry. After speaking with my partner, as would be normal for any police officer, I then made an attempt to speak with the Asian male in hopes that maybe he would feel comfortable speaking to me or see if I could obtain anything from him.
It's your experience that sometimes an individual won't speak to one officer but will to another, a different technique or approach or something like that?
Yes.
And so you then went over and saw if you could get information from the Asian male yourself.
That's correct.
Were you able to get any information from him?
No, other than his being alert to my presence. He refused to make any attempt to communicate to me.
And you made a conclusion as to whether or not, or did you make any observations that caused you to reach a conclusion as to whether or not he was intoxicated in some fashion?
Yes.
And what was that conclusion?
To me, he appeared to be intoxicated. The smell of strong smell of alcohol on his breath, his unsteadiness on his feet as upon our arrival when he was standing, his glassy-eyed look.
In that opportunity, when you were observing him, was he in front of the headlights of the car at that point? As you were speaking to him, as you're now questioning the Oriental male?
He would have been seated on the bumper of the squad car at that time.
Did you see anything about his person beyond the scrape on the knee that you've earlier testified to? Did you see any other injuries on his person?
No, I was able to view him upon our arrival from his back and his front, and I did not see any other injuries other than an abrasion to his knee.
What then happened or was said or was done after you attempted, were you successful at all in getting any information from the Asian male?
No, I did not get anything from him.
Did he simply remain silent, or did he speak in some tongue you didn't understand, or what, if any, communication was there?
There was nothing from him verbally, physically, facial expressions, nothing other than just his being aware that I was there and talking to him, asking him questions. He just didn't respond.
What did you then do or say after you had made these observations and this attempt to communicate with the Asian male?
At that time, I think, as I recall, I spoke with Mr. Dahmer again, and may have spoke with my partner another time.
Now, at some point, had fire personnel arrived on the scene, or you became aware of fire personnel?
I don't recall. Are you speaking of my knowledge at that time, or what I know now? Well,
going back to then, to that particular early morning hour at about 2 a.m. in this alley, did there come a time when you became aware that fire people had arrived at the scene?
Myself personally, I was not aware that they had been there, no.
Were you aware that at some point a blanket of some type had been put around the Oriental male?
Yes.
When you spoke with him, after you had initially talked to Dahmer, came back, spoke to Gabrish, then undertook to question the Asian male yourself, when you were questioning, was there now a blanket on him?
Yes.
After you had completed this effort trying to talk with the Asian male, you went back and talked to Gabrish and then back to Dahmer again. Is that what transpired?
I believe so, yes.
Right. What was the conversation at that point with Mr. Dahmer?
May have been, I believe, checking again, just trying to substantiate everything.
More questions.
Right.
Right. And what happened then? Had he told you where he lived, Dahmer, and when you had asked the name, and did you ask the address and so on?
Yes, yes.
Where was the address with respect to where you were, right in that alley?
That would have been at the south end of the city block that we were on.
The end of the alley, the north-south alley?
Basically, yes. That would
So would that put you within a few apartment buildings of his address?
That's correct.
You were in the 900 block of North 25th Street, this alley, is that correct?
That's correct.
And he advised you he lived in the 900 block of North 25th Street?
Yes.
So you knew you were within a couple of doors of his residence, is that so?
Yes.
All right. You questioned him again, and then what was said or done?
At that time, I made an appeal to the people that were there, asking if anybody knew the Asian male.
All right, you have indicated that as you came up to the scene, you saw a group of people there at the mouth of the alley. Now you start to talk to those people. You're going to try to get some information about the Asian male?
Right, for a matter of my record.
All right, what inquiry did you make of the people that were there?
I asked in a loud voice if anybody knew this person, and in reference to the Asian male, at which point I received no response from the individuals.
What did you then do or say?
At that time, I believe I talked to my partner, and we decided to go back to the apartment to further our investigation and to have the Asian male off the street since he was naked.
So you and Gabriel decided, okay, we'll go over to the apartment where Dahmer had told you he and this Oriental male were roommates. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. What happened then? After you and Gabriel made that decision, had other officers arrived on the scene in the interval that you've been describing?
Another squad had arrived on the scene during the course of our investigation on the street, yes.
Did you observe who those officers were that had arrived on the scene?
One officer I observed.
And what is his name?
That would be Officer Richard Brupkin.
All right, and presumably he arrived with a partner, but you did not see that partner?
I don't recall seeing.
All right, after you and Gabriel decided that the group would go back to the apartment building, Perupkin, Gabriel, the Oriental male, and Dahmer were between you and the Dahmer's door. Is that correct?
I believe that's how it was.
So they obstructed your view of what happened. But at any rate, he opened the apartment door, Mr. Dahmer did, and the group went in. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Was there any hesitancy by him about going into the apartment?
No, there was no hesitance by him either on the street before when we stated about going back to the apartment, and there was no hesitation at any time about allowing us into the apartment of any sort.
He didn't ask for a warrant or anything like that?
No.
All right, he opened the door and all of you went in. Were you probably the last to go in?
I would believe so, yes.
When you got in, can you tell the jury basically when you open up, is it a living room opening up into the first room you enter from the hallway?
It's a apartment itself. It has a short hallway, and there'd be a living room and an open area to the kitchen.
All right. Did you notice any doorway to the right leading into a bedroom or bathroom?
It may have been a short hallway where there was a door or two, which I assumed was the bathroom or bedroom.
All right. Did you go into that area at all?
No.
Do you have any recollection whether that was closed when you walked into that area that would provide access to the bedroom and bathroom? Do you recall if the access to that hallway, there was a closed door there or not, if you recollect?
To the hallway or to the rooms itself?
No, to the hallway that would lead into the bathroom and the bedroom.
I believe that there was no door to the hallway itself, my recollection, but just to the individual rooms themselves.
Did you look into a bedroom or a bathroom at all?
No, those doors, as I recall, were closed and had no reason to venture into there.
Right. When you came into the living room, what observations did you make?
The apartment, of the apartment itself, or?
Yes.
The apartment was a neat, well-kept apartment.
Did you make any particular observations with respect to was there a couch in the living room?
Yes, there was.
Did you make any particular observations of that couch?
The couch in regards to where it was positioned or what was on it?
Where it was positioned, what was on it, whatever you observed of it.
The couch, I believe, was against the east wall of the apartment. Had a blanket or a sheet, as I recall, on the couch, and some clothing, as if someone had been sleeping on the couch and with the blanket.
All right, what impact did that have on you, that observation?
That, to me, further substantiated what I had been told on the street during my investigation on the street, and as we further investigated, that substantiated that from Mr. Dahmer that his roommate had been sleeping on the couch, passed out.
And the clothes were there on the couch also?
Yes.
What, if any, observation did you make in your, you've described it as a neat apartment. Did you see any evidence of a struggle in that apartment?
No, there was no signs of any disturbance or struggle of any sort. Everything was in its place, and it was a clean, well-kept apartment.
What, if anything, was said or done at that time? There are now the three officers, you, Gabrish, Perubkin, the defendant, Mr. Dahmer, and the Oriental male. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And what did the Oriental male do when you came into the apartment? What was he doing, or had he done by the time you came into the apartment?
As I was walking into the apartment, he proceeded to the couch, and he sat in an upright position on the edge of the couch.
Since that time, since the May 27, 1991 morning, you have come to know that Asian male by a name other than John Hamung. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And by what name have you come to know him?
As Conorak Simphon.
You've seen pictures of him and so on, and that was the male, the Oriental male that you were observing at that early morning hours. You've come to know as Conorak Simphon. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right. As you're making these observations, you see the sheet on the bed or on the couch, the sheet or blanket, the clothes. What other observations did you make at that time, or what was said or done at that time in the apartment?
At that time, I was talking to Mr. Dahmer, and my partner was next to me in an area not too distant from me. Officer Prupkin was off to the side towards a table toward the kitchen area.
And do you recall what you said to Dahmer at this particular time, what the discussion was about? Were you looking for anything at that point?
At that point, we had proceeded back to further investigate and to further just to substantiate everything. And
do you recall observing, or do you recall or not, whether any of the other officers started through the clothing that you saw that was seen on the couch?
I don't recall myself that incident or that part of our investigation.
You, in other words, you don't know particularly what Gabrish or Perubkin was doing at that point. Although you were more or less talking to Dahmer, they were nearby because it's a small apartment, but you weren't particularly observing what they were doing, I take it, at that point.
I wasn't watching them directly, no.
What then happened or was said or done?
By
anybody?
Officer Perupkin picked up one or two Polaroid pictures off of a table, and he held them up to our view so that we could view them, and brought them to our attention.
Were you close enough, proximate enough, that you could make a review yourself of those Polaroid pictures?
Yes.
And what appeared in those Polaroid pictures?
It was a picture of Simphon posing in either black underwear or bikini briefs in that apartment itself.
I ask you to examine what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 68 and 69. Can you tell the jury, are those photographs?
Yes.
And are they photographs of a man you've come to know, a male you've come to know as Connor X. Synthesymphone?
Yes.
And would you describe to the jury what is presented in those photos?
It's a picture of, it appeared to be the same Polaroid, which I viewed upon that early morning hours.
And what does the picture show?
It shows Mr. Symphone posing in black bikini briefs or underwear in a relaxed pose in the apartment itself.
Is he in one of the poses? Is he on the couch?
Yes, one of the poses he's stretched out on the couch.
Are his eyes open?
Yes, they are.
Does he appear to be conscious in that pose?
Yes.
Does it appear to be a deliberate posing?
Yes, it appears to be a relaxed pose for whoever was taking the pictures.
And what does the second picture contain?
Again, contains the same setting, that of the apartment, along with Mr. Symphone with his bikini briefs posing.
Is he standing or reclining in the second photo?
He is standing.
And are his eyes open?
Yes, they are.
Does he appear to be conscious?
Yes.
You were shown those photos by Perubkin, or copies of those photos by Perubkin at that time in the apartment?
It would be, I believe they were Polaroid pictures. Yes.
All right. What was said or done at that time? Yes, after you observed those, Perubkin showed them to you. Did he show them to Gabrish too, if you recollect?
Officer Gabrish, myself, along with Mr. Dahmer and Mr. Symphone were all in position to view those, yes.
And what happened then? Or was said or done at that point, after you looked at those photos?
Said or done by us or by...
Yes, by anybody in the room there.
I believe Mr. Dahmer made a statement that to me, he appeared to be a little embarrassed about it and made a statement or said something to the effect that everybody has to be into something.
Everybody has to be into something? And
right.
You drew some conclusions from that?
From the pictures and the statement, or from the
yes.
statement? To me, it appeared, yes.
All right, and what were those conclusions?
That there was a relationship of sorts between the two individuals.
Is there anything in the pictures that suggested to you that it either was consensual or non-consensual from looking at the pictures?
From the pictures, it appeared to be a consensual type of pose, a relaxed posing, and
you could
no
tell
distress of any sorts in the pictures.
Right, I'm sorry, would you read the rest of that answer?
I'm just going.
Appeared to be a consensual type of pose, relaxed pose, no distress of any sort.
Did not appear to, and you could tell from looking at the pictures that had been taken in the very apartment in which you were standing.
Yes.
Right. What did that influence what then transpired, your decision, having seen those two pictures?
It just, to me, it just further substantiated my investigation, that of my partners, that everything was appeared to substantiate what Mr. Dahmer had related to us throughout the investigation.
What, if any, after those pictures were shown by Perubkin, what if, and Mr. Dahmer said everybody's got to be into something, what did you then do or say?
At that time, I believe I spoke to Mr. Dahmer, stating that if we or the police returned for similar behavior, then some action would be taken.
And this is referring to if synthesis phone lines is seen out on the street naked again, further action will be taken?
Yes.
And after, did he respond to that at all, Dahmer?
I believe he said something to the effect that he assured us that he'd take care of them and that they wouldn't occur again.
What, if anything, then was said or done?
At that point, we basically concluded our assignment, and B, left the apartment.
The three of you left the apartment, the three officers?
Right. There was, as we left, we made Mr. Sinfone aware that we were leaving, as well as Mr. Dahmer, and we proceeded to leave.
Right. And did you leave?
Yes.
All right. During the time that you were there, had Mr. Sinfone done or said anything besides sitting on the couch?
No, he remained seated in an upright position by himself, and he just was watching what was happening in the apartment, just watching us and Mr. Dahmer.
During that time, did he say anything, Mr. Sinfone?
No, he did not.
During that time, was there a light on within the apartment?
There would have been some lights on, yes.
Did you make any additional observations as to any injuries of Mr. Sinfone?
The only injuries that I had observed on him, or anyone, Mr. Dahmer or him, Mr. Dahmer had nothing to him. The only injuries I observed to Mr. Sinfone was the abrasion to his knee.
When you were in the apartment in that fashion, had he kept the blanket around him, Sinfone?
I believe when he sat down, he relaxed regarding his holding the blanket around himself. There was no need to. He was not in the public's eye per se.
Had the blanket? How had the blanket been? Was it about his shoulders or his head or about his waist? In what fashion do you recollect this blanket had been about him?
Initially, when I first observed the blanket, I believe it was would have been around his shoulders, kind of draped over his shoulders and his back, and his basically coming just below to his thigh, and as he walked back to the apartment, it might have then gone to a lower, more like wrapped around his waist.
This you would have seen from following in the squad car.
Yes.
And you had made observations of Mr. Dahmer in the alley. You said basically that he appeared neat, calm, hair in order, clothing in order. When you got into the building and had observations of him within the lighted apartment, was there anything more you added to those observations?
No, he remained calm and forthright to me, it appeared, through the entire investigation.
Now, when the three of you left, did Mr. Sinfone get up or do anything of that nature as you three officers started to leave?
No, throughout our investigation, he made no physical or verbal communication with us.
Had you ever seen Mr. Sinfone before, to your knowledge?
To my recollection, I've never seen him before.
Had you ever seen Mr. Dahmer before, to your knowledge?
To my recollection, I've never seen him before.
To your recollection, have you ever been in that particular apartment before?
The apartment itself?
Not the building, just the apartment itself.
Not to my recollection, I've never been in there.
All right, were the Polaroid pictures left there? Do you know what Mr. Porubkin did with them?
I don't recall if he set them back. After briefly looking at them, he just held them up, and what he did with them after that, I don't recall.
Was Porubkin also a uniformed officer?
Yes, he was.
Right. So the Majeski, the fourth officer, did not enter the apartment at any time, I take it?
No, not that I recall.
Can you tell us, you've indicated that he was calm during this time. Let me ask some additional questions. Was Mr. Dahmer responsive to the questions you put to him?
Yes.
Did you at any time, as you went back and forth and re-questioned him on different points, was he inconsistent at any time in his responses to you?
No, he wasn't.
Did he appear to understand what you were asking of him?
Yes.
Did he appear incoherent at any time?
No.
Was he non-responsive to your questions at any time?
No.
Did you see any evidence of a delusion, that he was in a delusional state at that time?
No, he appeared to be a normal person.
Did he appear to you to be hallucinating at that time in any fashion?
No.
Did he appear to be in a stupor of any type?
No.
Did you form any opinion as to whether he had been drinking particularly that evening, if you recollect?
The only thing I could say that he did not appear to be intoxicated to me. As far as his possibly drinking, I wouldn't be able to say.
Did he appear to you to be in any way out of touch with reality?
No.
While you were in the apartment, did you smell anything unusual, if you recollect?
No.
How long were you in the apartment, the time that you were actually in the apartment itself?
Exactly, the exact time I couldn't give you.
Not the exact time, approximate time.
Maybe 5 to 8 minutes or so.
How much time transpired from the time you initially started to talk to Mr. Dahmer in the alley until the time you walked out of the apartment? How much time frame are we talking about?
Maybe about 20 minutes or so. The exact time, again, I wasn't watching my wristwatch. So.
And thereafter, after you left the apartment, you returned to another assignment?
After leaving, we went into service and attempted to go and to clean up.